What's up, everybody? I'm Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga, and the director of operations here at Base One Stoic Temple in San Jose, where I live with the #1 relationship expert on earth for men. His name is Arash Zepar Dibazar. And this is another video blog. I wanted to bring to you some of the recent teachings and how it's affected me. If you don't know who I am, watch all the hundreds of episodes of podcasts and video blogs and so many things. Right now, I live with him, and I've lived with him for 2 years with Sultan and Fernando also. And the change that's been going on in me for the last 2 or 3 months especially, and really the last 6 months, it's amazing when you train for a long time with a communication expert or social dynamics or dating relationships expert, the learning curve kind of gets shallow at some point. Like you're going to get to a level and it starts to like taper. You're not going to have so many mind-blowing realizations. That's not necessarily the case. Maybe it got to that point after 4 or 5 years, and then Arash opened up the private moment experience to all of us. If you don't know what that is, that's something he learned from his acting mentor who's since passed on. His name is Manu Tupau. And the private moment has just like completely exploded my presence and comfort in social situations. Then that evolves into the communing with nature exercise. These are 2 different exercises, private moment, communing with nature, which developed my language so much. I mean, I'm a PhD. I've read thousands of articles, lots and lots of books, scientific language and all that stuff. Plus, I've been studying him for Arash for a long time, and I've developed this fantasy language, imaginary language that grips you, plus with tonalities and face expressions and so many things in communication that are not just like textbook things, because here's a man that has multiple relationships with very high value women. They all know about each other. They're loyal. It's long-term relationships. And it's the communication that works, that actually works. It's not like a Tony Robbins seminar or some communications textbook or something. Like we're decoding a man that's actually making it work at the top of the pyramid, #1 on the planet. And I mean, I have 2 women. I have other women that I'm talking with. They're totally friends and collaborating with each other. They're supportive of what I do. And that's in itself an achievement for men. And I'm just living my life. Like I'm not going for multiple women, or it's just natural. And learning these frames, and which frames is like a perspective that you have with your mind, learning how to express yourself. And here, we'll get into it. I have a little list here, just so I remember these takeaways, because I want to make this video concise for you. One of the main things that you learn when you start studying Arash is tools for handling your own mindset, your emotional state. And it's not so much about controlling everything that's going on in your mind and your body. It's about having handles, having both. That's funny. I just realized that word handle has like handle, like you grab something, and a handle like a climber, or like a handle to a lunchbox or something. And then there's handles like how you handle situations, which is a very similar word. It's how you get a grip on a situation when an argument or a disagreement or some insecurity, or somebody's triggered in some way, or even somebody you don't know, like you're out with your woman and then some aggressive guy or homeless guy or some, just bitch feminist or somebody is like talking something nonsense to you. It may happen rarely, but if you don't know how to handle it, you may lose value in the eyes of your woman that's with you. And that's just going to create more problems for you. You'll see if you're not in a relationship. You'll see when you lose value in her eyes, which she feels it, she perceives you don't handle the situation right, then right in the sense that she's less safe after you do that, or you're less dominant, or she feels less respect for you because of how you handle a situation, you'll notice what happens when her attraction drops. And that she's going to give you problems, she's going to give you disagreements, her tonality will raise against you, she won't be as submissive, won't be as pleasant being around her. And it's because you failed as a man, you lost value. Having tools to handle your own mind and emotions in communication will save you a lot of problems. In business too. I mean, so much of in my early trainings, the first 3 or 4 years with Arash, early trainings, I'm like in year 6 now. So the early trainings with Arash, it was easy for me to connect the teachings to making more money. I was an entrepreneur in some extent. For the first couple of years, I was a PhD student, and I was teaching yoga on the side. It was my entrepreneurialism. And that's a fun word. Try to say that 10 times fast. Entrepreneurialism. Actually, it's pretty easy. And then since then, I was full-time entrepreneur. So taking the skills of communication, tonality, I mean, it sounds so simple, but when you see the world's foremost expert demonstrating on lectures on Zoom, or if you're able to come in person, it brings it home for you. There's so many nuances that it's not that you have to learn so many detailed nuances, it's that you have to unlearn so many details because they are confining you in thinking that you know what I'm talking about when I say language or tonality or something. You think you know what I'm talking about. I'm using simple words. When you see him demonstrate in so many ways compassion, when you see him demonstrate how to handle aggression in him, when you see him demonstrate trust and tonalities of that and the language of that, love, attraction, how to frame a compliment in a way that she feels greater from it and doesn't just brush it off or, you know, kind of deflect it maybe, or even not accept it, reject it in a way. Like there's ways of wording your expression that makes the receiver hear it differently. And when we're talking about the language of women, you know, I interact with hundreds of guys that are in this movement, and I hear a lot of, you know, about other I don't hear a lot about it, but I encounter guys that are training with other guys. They listen to so-and-so podcaster or so-and-so motivational speaker and whatever. And there's good things to gain from all of those people that have achieved some level of success. They got it for a reason, but they're failing with women, and you can hear it when you hear Arash speak, when you see demonstrations after demonstrations, lecture after lecture, girlfriend here, text thread here, you know, phone call here. And if you ever get to go out with him, how he interacts with, you know, waitress, hostess, girl that used to know him, you know, famous football player's girlfriend, or so, like so many references. And of course, men. How he interacts with men is, but that, for me, being a wrestler, the son of an Army officer, Army Ranger, both an officer, airborne Ranger, like communicating with men was different for me. Like it was easier for me. I was a wrestler in college. Like it was the tough, hard-nosed, learning the language of value is a little bit different. But again, it was a little easier for me to get it with men. Understanding female psychology and the language being different for them, what they perceive as value, understanding emotional expression, interpreting emotions for her, helping her, because her communication is much more indirect than yours. You know, that's been an eye-opening journey for the last 6-7 years for me. And, you know, the ease that has come over me in this last 2 or 3 weeks of training with the Gateless Gate is the event that's called now. So if you don't know, I run the website imcbase1.com. So that's where the events are to train with Arash. He has another website called arashzepar.com. And that's where you go into the entry-level members program, other products that he's done in the past. But the up-to-date, highest-level training, online immersion, plus coming in person if you choose to do that upgrade, is imcbase1.com. And in these last 2 or 3 weeks, my sense of calm when I'm communicating through frustrating situations, or the girl might even be insulting me, or I might be perceiving it as an insult. That's how she communicates. Let's say new women, they come into your life, they've interacted with all kinds of other men their whole life. And those men are not like you, and especially if you're an IMC Nation, they're nothing close to like you in terms of your awareness of her strategy for getting what she wants. Because that's what she's doing too. You're trying to get what you want, she's trying to get what she wants. And you want it to be a win-win situation, the relationship. And if you have a tribe, which is really what, I mean, that's this method. That's how Arash does what he does, is this tribal code and, you know, gaming your community, basically. How to calibrate your social dynamics so that you're not off-putting to people that around you, that are your neighbors or the venues that you go to. Because a lot of like pickup artists and cheeseballs like that, they fuck up their reputation just moving. They need numbers, move on to the next girl, the next venue, because they're shitting where they eat. You know, this is social dynamics for living where you are for 35 years and still being the world's best pickup artist at some point. Like, he doesn't claim that title now. It's been years since he won that award, but that's what it was. So, I was saying, living in San Jose, calibrating. Let me go back to my list so I don't miss anything. I mean, I pretty much hit everything. Without going into teaching, I'm trying not to like teach this stuff. You know, I'll go deeper into it in my podcast, Enlightened Masculinity. So you can check that out on all the podcast apps, Enlightened Masculinity. And, you know, frames and examples of how to communicate will change you. They will change your life, how you do business, how you relate with mom and dad. That's been a huge emphasis. Jesus, that's been so healing for me. And how he's talking about how to do that, how he's demonstrating it with his parents. Everybody's changing. That's applying the teachings. And there's definitely a difference between the advanced trainings that I host with the imcbase1.com, and the entry-level program, which is very inspirational, and you get exposed to the language, and there's a lot of male aggressiveness and testosterone and handling situations that will free you up if you've never heard that. So I recommend go to arashzepar.com and sign up for that. For the advanced training, you can learn to become a much better communicator over video. You don't have to come in person. You could be in Europe, you can be in Asia, you can be in Australia, you can be wherever. You afford the program, you join online, listening and absorbing will change as soon as you leave the stream and go and talk. As soon as you talk with yourself. I mean, he gives us self-talk practices also. Changes your emotional state, and that's going to change all the decisions and communications that you send for the rest of that day, when you redial up your emotions. And of course, there's processes for changing your emotions, how you eat and cold showers and breathing and stretching and exercise. And that stuff's pretty basic and easy. When it comes to the discipline and the timing, the schedule, how Arash runs his schedule, this is something that the guys that live with him have benefited so much, myself included, obviously. How to run your schedule so that it gets done and that you have time for relationships and you have time for meeting new people and spreading out into the community. People are mismanaging time. And you're not going to get what Arash is getting if you don't learn to manage your time. And okay, so that's like a gold nugget for you. So go to imcbase1.com to get the next level training. Every month there's a new training. And it's an organic evolution here. This, like I said, this isn't textbook. It's not like a packaged, here's step 1, 2, 3, and I've drawn this diagram and here it is, the sort of thing. And then month after month, year after year, I'm teaching the same thing with minor innovations. That's not what's going on here. When you're in relationship with 4, 5, 6 beautiful women long-term, beautiful is important because they're high value. Lots of guys would go for them, but they're loyal. They cover themselves. They act soft and feminine. They're organized. And it's not like they don't have their conflicts and fights or whatever, but the fights you're having with one girl, if you have one girl, is probably bigger, more out of control, and more unreasonable than he's having total with 6 girls, right? And I know, I live with them. There are people that still claim like he's a fraud and he's paying them. You're an idiot, just a complete idiot. You need to be able to see with your own eyes and trust your own judgment. And you might say, I'm trusting my judgment by saying he's a fraud. Well, then you have wrong eyes. You're perceiving it wrong. You're looking at 2 + 2 and you're saying that's 22. And that's just moronic. So I don't want to belabor the point. You can learn online. In person, yes, you pay for this evolution. This is important to know. I mean, there's lots of free stuff. You can watch hundreds of videos online for free, and you'll get something out of them. But don't sell yourself short. That's not what's to be gotten. There's levels to this, and someone that's been in business for 25 years, like Arash, he understands. Here's free stuff. Here's first level stuff. I need to break some of your beliefs. Here's next level stuff. This is going to really expand your mind. Here's in-person stuff. Yes, this is really real. Oh yeah, and if you want to get to the next level and start a base and have 4 or 5 guys, IMC guys living together, and you want to be a leader of that base and all the benefits that come with that, the prestige, events coming to you, exclusive trainings and everything, yes, that costs more because this is harder in evolution and you're not going to find someone else that is doing it like this. You'll find a Tony Robbins or you'll find a what is his name, Lewis Hose or somebody, very, Gary Vaynerchuk or whatever, enthusiastic, making lots of money. If you made $200 million, you'd feel really good too. But he's not getting girls. I mean, Gary Vee is still pecking on Rihanna, like leaning in and showing too much interest. Tony Robbins is still sitting beta next to his wife as she interviews Michael Singer. Lewis Hose is still a dork and not getting women. What you're learning from those other guys is not getting you better with women. It might be elevating areas of your life, but it's not making you better with women. You learn how to be better with women and you'll learn how to get better at your life because you have to be. This isn't a fake plastic sword where you're just learning how to trick a girl into being with you and then you have no real value in your life. This is how to get your life in order, but in the right way. Because you could get your life in order way over there with Lewis Hose or fucking Tony Robbins or whoever, and it's not going to make you better with women. They're not doing the right things in the sequence that influences the woman's genetic needs. And that's what Arash is teaching. This is what Arash is teaching. So imcbase1.com is the website to go to. And shout out to Rudy and Josiah Apprentices who make the thumbnails and tag up these videos and post them. And I'll see you on the next one. Hopefully I see you on Gathering. I'd love to meet you if that's what you wanted to do. If you come down the straight line, if you get in the programs, if you get the teachings, if it's benefiting you and you want to do more and you come closer, I'm sure we'll be in communication And I'd love to know if you found me through this video blog or through any of these video blogs. So keep that in mind, and I'll see you in the next one. Os.